So, welcome back, Elaine and Kim. Great to have you here. A nice little chat there we had in our expression. So, yeah, let's dive in to today's daily quote, as we always do. It's a good way to kick things off. I'm going to share my screen with you so you can read that. And that'll lead us nicely into today's workbook lesson, which is all about happiness. So that's the theme today, and that's the theme of the quote from Abraham Lincoln, who was unusually quite an enlightened politician and statesman. He was president of the United States, probably one of the most famous, respected ones, because he had a little bit more about him than some of our current presidents. No names mentioned. Okay, so let me share my screen with you. Very, very simple quote. So if you can read that quote to kick it off, Kim, for us, please.
I'm still sharing. Okay. Most folks are about as happy as they make their minds up to be.
So it was attributed to Abraham Lincoln. It wasn't necessarily actually said by him, but it doesn't really matter who said it. He rose to become president of the US. It's another beautifully simple formula for happiness, just to make up your mind to be happy no matter what seems to be happening in your life. And this determination to change your perception is the foundation of all personal transformation, because it's only through your willingness to change your mind that anything will ever change in your life. As Yeshua says very clearly in this paragraph from the introduction to section 21 of the text, quoted quite often in this program. So it won't be the first or the last time, because it is such a profound paragraph. So, Elaine, if you can read that for us kindly. Projection makes perception.
Projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you it is important. It is the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world.
Very profound statement. That's one of the most commonly quoted lines of the course. Seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. And therein lies the entire methodology of the course. The idea that happiness is a conscious choice rather than a state that happens to you if you're lucky enough to have pleasant or pleasurable experiences in the world is one of the central principles of the Course in Miracles. It's expressed again in today's workbook lesson. This we'll dive into that. We'll dive into that just now. Yeah, so on this couple of principles here just to go through about this bonus meditation and discussion that I've listed here, which I recorded a few years ago at the Botanic Gardens, actually, in Rudaport, Kim. So listen to it, watch it, but it's all about how conscious breathing then creates tremendous benefits in our life. So what the masters of the ancient world understood was that the breath was the key to changing your energy system, the mind, subconscious mind, and the energy system that's tied to it. The quickest, easiest way to start changing that quite profoundly was through the breath. which is why it's at the foundation of spiritual traditions like yoga, like Buddhism. The yogis, pranayama is part of the eight-limbed system of yoga. Buddhism is derived from that system. He understood the yogic system, but created his own version of that breath work in the form of Vipassana meditation, which is driven by the breath, something called Anapanasati. The breath watching technique is foundational to Buddhism as well. So this pranayama was in these ancient Eastern traditions. It's also in the Taoist tradition. If you look further east to China, they've got qigong, tai chi. These are all breath-led practices. Qigong is the breathing practice. Tai chi is the movement. So those would be the equivalents of yoga and pranayama in the Indian system. So we see how these ancient teachings and cultures taught this because they understood how important the breath was. And if you're going to start somewhere, it's one of the easiest places to start because you're breathing all the time. Your breath is free. It's immediately available, immediately accessible as a tool. You don't have to go somewhere, get teachings. You don't have to pay for it. It's something you can do anytime, immediately, instantly. So literally the most powerful tool for transformation of your mind and body right under your nose, and yet most people aren't even aware of that. So if you diligently apply and practice the first 7 limbs or practices of yoga, which includes pranayama, breath control, in combination with each other, that ultimately leads to a consistent experience of what the yogis call samadhi, which is the 8th limb of enlightenment, which is really just a state of mind. It's a luminous, quantumous, peaceful, totally self-aware state of mind. In fact, in Sanskrit, the word samadhi means total self-collectedness, translated again as best we can in English. It means a coherent self. It means someone who knows themselves. In the Greek teachings, they say, know thyself. Someone who knows themselves and is consistent and integrous to that self, thinks and speaks and acts from that self-awareness, higher self-awareness, would be in a state of samadhi, whether they're in meditation or not. So samadhi wasn't just when you were checked out in meditation and not aware of what's going on in the world. Samadhi incorporated your daily life. If you're really in a state of samadhi, you're connected to yourself and you're living in that state, and then whatever you're doing is in a flow state. So flow is really samadhi in action, put simply. So definitely worth listening. We dived a bit more deeply into these ideas. I've just touched on them again. And really what this Art of Letting Go course and the 1-year program especially does is it integrates these first 7 limbs of yoga into a daily program over 6 weeks and then 1 year to help the participants fundamentally transform the way they think and perceive everything and everyone. So how do you change the world? You change your mind about the world. How do you change your mind? It's disciplined, daily, systematic spiritual practice that's going to do that. And that's why a course and then a 1-year program are needed. Because your experience of life in this world is made up of your thoughts and emotions arising usually in response to apparently external circumstances and events. Learning that you actually have what's called an internal locus of control. Your internal state is not dependent on externals. You can find that internal locus of control. You can find peace and love and joy and happiness and everything you really want inside of you already. Once you understand that, it's genuinely life-changing. It's completely transformational for your understanding of life, for your self-concept, and for your entire experience of life. And that's exactly what the Art of Letting Go course and program are designed to do. It's a genuine transformation. So if you want to watch or listen to that, there are the links. Definitely, it was a good session, if I recall. Leads us nicely into today's live session and our lesson for today, which is lesson 66. So let me just dive into that. Where are we? 66. What happened there? Let's just, there I am. Let's go into the lesson. Where are we? Lesson, there we go. Okay, so let's read. It's not a particularly long lesson, but a very profound one. And there's some really good logic in it as well. So let's dive in then, shall we? So, Kim, if you want to read the original idea and then Elaine the alternative, and then we'll read a couple of slides. Well, there's one slide now and a couple more to come. So, yeah, Elaine, if you can read the alternative and then read the slide below, that'd be great. Just scroll down when we get there.
My happiness and my function are one.
Okay, and then yeah, Kim was meant to read that, but it doesn't matter. You read the alternative as well, and then just read the read the slide below.
I can read it.
Yeah, if you want to. Yeah,
my
you want to read the
happiness and my
alternative.
function are, yes. My
Yeah.
happiness and my function are the same.
Yeah. So my happiness is my function, is what he's saying, which is very simple, but how people believe that's the case. I think their function is everything else but to be happy. If you think about the average stressed person living in the modern world, you say, well, what's your function? Well, you know, I've got I'm a partner, a husband, a wife. I've got kids, so I'm a parent. I've got a job, so I'm an employee. I volunteer for a local organization. You know, that's how they define their function. If you said to them, but you realize you're missing the point because your only purpose is to be happy. Most people would go, okay, I get that conceptually, but how do I actually live that? Because I've got all these things I've got to do, you know, all these responsibilities, which seem to burden me. Anyway, so Kim, you can read the slide below, which just visually makes the point that these are different wrappings, but it's really an identical content.
Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same thing. Their forms are different, but their content is completely one.
Yeah, so like, you know, the analogy is you've got two boxes, they're wrapped in different paper, as he's demonstrated here, but what's inside them is exactly the same. So whether you approach this from the lens of my happiness, I just want to be happy, or find inner peace, if you want to use another word from happiness. A lot of people say, you know, I just want inner peace, and that's the wrapper. Or you go, I'm really looking for my purpose in the world and my true function or purpose and meaning. It's the same, because when you open the box, you get the same truth. Salvation or awakening is the answer to both of those questions. So they just seem to be different in the world. They seem to have different wrappings, but they're not really at all. Okay. So that leads us into paragraph 1. Yeah. Question?
Yeah, I'm just saying practically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We went to a little bit earlier, but it's
so practically,
what is it
you know,
ultimately using every opportunity, whatever comes up, either appreciation or forgiveness, basically.
Well, yeah, part of forgiveness is appreciation, saying, well, I'm grateful for the opportunity to let go of another part of my separate self. So I'm always grateful for whatever's coming up. And when I let it go, then I can be happy, and I'm also fulfilling my function, which is letting go in this world and discovering who I am. So they're one and the same thing. When I discover who I am, then I'll be happy. So you see the connection. They might be different wrappings and a different way in. You know, someone might be like really obsessed with finding their higher purpose, meaning in life. And that's their thing. You know, I just want to know what the meaning of my life is, what I'm really here to do. Someone else might be like, but I just want inner peace. I just want to be happy. Same, whichever way you approach it, you're going to end up in the same place. Because the source of both of these, what's inside the box, in other words, is the same. It's your true self. It's going to bring you happiness, and it's going to help you to fulfill your function. When you're really inspired by this and you're living your life miraculously, then your function of doing that makes you happy. That's an inspired life. It's inevitable. You're going to be happy because you're living from your true self. So instead of seeking happiness and going, well, when this happens and when that happens, then I can be happy. It's like, no, just by living out my true function, happiness is a natural consequence and result of that. I don't have to worry about being happy. I will naturally be happy. And we call that kind of happiness authentic happiness or flow. It's the happiness that just is. You're in the world, you're working, you're doing stuff, but actually everything is okay. Everything's flowing. There's not any major resistance, not any major dramas. If something crops up, you're able to look at it and let it go quickly, so you don't get caught up in it. And this is what the course is training us to do through these ideas, to live a happy life that's also a life on purpose, and the two are really one and the same thing. Okay, makes sense. So, yeah, let's just switch it. Can you read the original sentence by sentence and then Elaine the alternative below that in grey, kindly?
You have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling your function and achieving happiness.
I have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling my function and achieving happiness.
This is because you do not really see the connection.
This is because I do not really see the connection.
Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same.
Yet there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same.
Their forms are different, but their content is completely one.
Their forms are different, but their content is completely the same. And I have surely noticed an emphasis throughout our recent lessons on the connection between fulfilling my function and achieving happiness. This is because I do not really see the connection, yet that there is more than just a connection between them. They are the same. Their forms are different, but their content is completely the same. Just there's a theme going throughout these lessons about the connection between this function and achieving happiness, because really they are the same, just come in different forms, but the content is completely the same.
Yeah, so if our function is to let go or forgive, and that's the means to happiness, then by letting go or forgiving, we're guaranteed to achieve happiness. You know, it's a very simple logic. And you want to say, when you look at it, you just go like, well, why does he even have to teach us this stuff? I mean, surely these ideas should be common sense. It's just, yeah, well, of course. But they're not common sense. These ideas are considered life-changing, radical, difficult teachings, and people are like, oh, this is all difficult. It's too full on for me. But actually, as he says in the course, this is a very simple course. There's nothing complicated about it. The ideas are very simple. The complexity is of the ego, and the truth is simple. So, but he's just got to point out that simplicity to us, hasn't he? Because we miss it. When you first read the course, I remember thinking, but wow, it's so logical, it's so simple, it's so profound. Why haven't I known this before? Why hasn't anyone told me this before? Because it takes a true spiritual master to cut through all the complexity and reveal the simplicity that underlies that. That's the best teacher who can do that. So we're very lucky that we've got that level of teaching in the course. Okay, so happy with that. Function and happiness are one.
Yeah.
Well, let's dive into number 2 then. So switch it. Elaine, you read the original, sentence by sentence, and Kim the alternative kindly.
My separate self, the ego does constant battle with the Holy Spirit on the fundamental question of what your function is.
The separate self constantly battles with the remembrance of perfect love about the fundamental question of what my function is.
So does it do constant battle with the Holy Spirit about what your happiness is.
It also constantly battles with the remembrance of perfect love about what my happiness is.
It is not a two-way battle.
It is not a two-way battle.
The ego attacks and the Holy Spirit does not respond. He knows what your function is. Oh, sorry, sorry.
It's all right. My separate self attacks and the remembrance of perfect love does not respond.
He knows what your function is.
It knows what my function is.
He knows that it is your happiness.
It knows that it is my happiness.
Okay, and from the top, in the alternative.
My separate self constantly battles with the remembrance of perfect love about the fundamental question of what my function is. It also constantly battles with the remembrance of perfect love about what my happiness is. It is not a two-way battle. My separate self attacks and the remembrance of perfect love does not respond. It knows what my function is. It knows that it is my happiness. So he's saying that
thoughts on that?
Separate self would do the attack. Remembrance of perfect love or Holy Spirit does not respond, does not react, because it knows or sure when the self, or my higher self, knows what happiness is. It doesn't need to respond or react. It knows its true function of happiness because it's doing the letting go.
And the ego's got all kinds of other ideas about what your function is. Have you noticed? Happiness is way too simple and straightforward for it. So no, I've got to do this. The ego's a master at saying, I've got to do this to be happy. I'd seek and do not find. So in order to be happy, this needs to happen, and this needs to happen, and this needs to change, and this person needs to do this, and then I can be happy. So happiness is always in the future, and it's always conditional on something or someone else changing, which of course means you never get there. So the goalposts keep being moved. So the ego's version of happiness is this future-based goal that's never actually going to happen now. And once you see what that game is, you have to go, okay, the game's up. This is not a game I want to play anymore, because it means I will never, ever be happy now. If I follow the ego's advice, I'm never going to be happy now. That's quite a stunning realization, isn't it? I will never be happy if I follow the advice of this maniac in my mind that pretends to be me. It's always looking for happiness just over there in the future, in the next posture, in when I do this, when I get there, when I achieve this, when I'm older. And that just never happens. It never comes. I mean, if you think about your life, when you're a kid, you're like, well, I just want to grow up and become a teenager because then I'll have, more freedom and responsibility and have my own pocket money. And then when we're a teenager, that's not good enough. We go, oh, well, I want to leave home and I want to go to university because that's going to be great. I'm going to have again, more choices, more freedom, get out of the control of my parents. And then university, you're like, oh, okay, well, now I'm looking ahead to, a working career. It's going to be great. I'm going to be working, I have a salary, it'll be great. And then we get into that and we're like, okay, so now I'm looking forward to marriage and kids. And it's always going to be better in the future. It's never okay right now, but sometime in the future it's going to be better. And we can live our whole life that way. So eventually you hit retirement, and then often it comes crashing down. That story, because you're like, well, I built up my whole life that when I'm finally retired, worked hard my whole life, I've now got time, I've got enough money to live, like I should be happy, but I'm not. And then often people go through an existential crisis because they're like, but so then if I'm not happy now, and these are the last maybe 10, 20 years of my life, when am I going to be ever be happy? And the answer is, if you follow the ego's system, never. So sometimes we have to, go a whole lifetime before we start waking up. But if you just start seeing the pattern early on, you can wake up at any point. I was lucky I did in my late 20s, going, well, I'm going to be happy when I achieve my ego goal, which is to be a world champion, and that hasn't happened, and was probably never likely to happen. But even if it did happen, would it have actually made me happy? That's the question. I don't know, because I didn't achieve it, but it's unlikely to have made me permanently happy. I've certainly got some ego gratification out of it, no doubt. And I've gone, oh, this is good, and I've got all this, ego pride and status and etc. But is that happiness? Is that authentic happiness? No, not really, because sooner or later it's going to go, isn't it? I mean, being a world champion doesn't last for very long. Maybe 5 years, 10 years max. They're like the best players in the world. 10 years, that's it, and then it's over because you can't sustain that level of performance for longer than about a decade. Maybe 15 years, sort of max. And that was some of the greatest champions of all time. So the point is not sustainable anyway. Even if it gave you happiness for that time, then when you're no longer world champion, then what? So there's the problem with the ego system. So he's giving us a better way, saying today we'll try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function. Okay, so switch it again. Sure, it's Elaine. No, Kim to read the original, I think. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today we'll try to go past this wholly meaningless battle and arrive at the truth about your function.
I will try to go past the wholly meaningless battle today and arrive at the truth about my function.
We will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is.
I will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is.
We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving.
I will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for... Is it achieving it? I don't know. Needs to be grown up achieving it, yeah.
We will not indulge the ego by listening to its attacks on truth.
I will not indulge my belief in separation by listening to its attacks on truth.
We will merely be glad that we can find out what truth is.
I will merely be glad that I can find out what truth is. And from the top, I will try to go past this wholly meaningless battle today and arrive at the truth about my function. I will not engage in senseless arguments about what it is. I will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness, determining the means for achieving it. I will not indulge my belief in separation by listening to the attacks on truth. I will merely be glad that I can find out what truth is. So it's just saying about our meaningless battle with the truth and our function, and now to stop engaging in senseless false hopes and arguments about what it is and become hopelessly involved in it, and find happiness by just not indulging in this belief in separation, and be glad that we can find this truth right now here.
And that it's not sometime in the future. I think this is the key point. The ego is addicted to the search for happiness, but never finding it. Seek and do not find is its mantra. So if you think about what motivates almost all of the activity in the world, human activity, is a search for happiness, the pursuit of happiness. In fact, in the American Declaration of Independence, they even put that in. Thomas Jefferson, who wrote, we hold these truths to be inalienable, that all men, of course, because it was only men, not women, all men, and it only meant white men. Let's just clarify that. All men are created equal, and that they have the right to life, liberty, and not happiness, but the pursuit of happiness. It's in the Declaration of Independence. Isn't that interesting? The pursuit of happiness as the founding document of an entire nation that has then been pretty influential in creating this modern world, this modern culture. So founded on the pursuit of happiness, not happiness. Therein lies a fundamental mistake. You see that spiritually. No one's really ever pointed this out, but it's in the founding document of an entire nation that has then set the cultural tone for much of the world in the modern era. Everyone's pursuing it, but not actually being happy. It's not fair. It's not based on being. It's based on a pursuit, on a chasing, on desire, on craving. And if you look at the way that whole country has evolved and its culture, it's very much about the growth, it's the desire, it's always want to be bigger, always want to be better, but never quite arriving. Whereas being who you really are is just about relaxing into who and what you really are. Just recognizing that is always there, that's always been the truth. So you don't need to do anything except let go of the blocks to that awareness. You already are that. And those are fundamentally different mindsets. You see that? The one is a growth mindset. The one saying, I'm not quite okay as I am, but if I do this and this and this, then I'm going to be better, then I'm going to be happier. And so I'll go down this path and I'll do all these things because then, that's the road to salvation. But we seek and we never find happiness. The other one just says, it's available right now. Just drop all of your illusions about where you think it is and what you think will bring you happiness. As he says, become hopelessly defined in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. All of that's the ego's game. Don't get caught up in that. Just realize that it's right here, right now. In every moment, it's available to you if you choose to go there. Which the only caveat to that is you have to let go of your separate self to do that. Which means you can't listen to its attacks on truth. I will merely be glad that I can find out what truth is. I'll change that to happy, actually, given we're talking about happiness. All right. Elaine, if you can read that one, just that slide from our friend Kat.
My function must bring me happiness. I will not engage in ceaseless arguments about what happiness is. We will not become hopelessly involved in defining happiness and determining the means for achieving it. Just like when a fan rotates, i.e. performs in function, it generates air. And there's a diagram with the function and and there's the air blowing out.
It's quite a nice analogy, isn't it? So if the moving air is happiness, and the fan is doing its thing, it's performing its function, then the result is moving air or happiness. So similarly in our lives, if we really perform our function, which is forgiveness or letting go, then the flow that comes from that in our lives is going to be the happiness that we once yearned for in all of the external things. We're now just living in that flow as a result of fulfilling our function. It's a natural consequence. If you turn on the fan, you're going to get moving air. That's what happens when the fan is working, it's fulfilling its function. In the same way, you switch on our function, which is forgiveness, then naturally you're going to get this state of happiness in life, which we call flow, where things are just flowing and you're not resisting life, you're not craving, desiring, you're not having grievances, you're just flowing moment by moment with the flow of life. And that's a very fulfilling, satisfying state to be in. You're not in the future, you're okay now. And then in the next moment, which is also now, you'll be okay, and so on. And so when we perform our God-given function, which is forgiveness or letting go, we must experience happiness. So then you don't have to go seeking for happiness. You just have to focus on fulfilling your function. And happiness is going to be a natural consequence of that. That's what he's saying to us. And again, it's very, very simple. Why do we need to be taught this? Because our minds have got very confused and we think that happiness lies somewhere out there, over the hill, over the rainbow, in a greener pasture, and we've got to go seek it. And we've got to go find it. We've got to do all kinds of things to get there one day. Of course, one day never comes because there's only now. It's a crazy mindset, but this is what most of the world operates on. And we wonder why society is backwards and upside down and insane. So, the founding principle on which it's based is upside down and backwards and insane. As that example of the American Declaration of Independence illustrates. The founding principle was the pursuit of happiness, not happiness itself. And you wonder, Thomas Jefferson had written happiness as a state of mind, to enjoy happiness instead of the pursuit of happiness, life, liberty, and the enjoyment of happiness. Maybe that entire culture would have been different. Who knows? Because that was the founding document. That was the statement of intent for founding a nation. So these things have significance spiritually. It's founded on a false premise that we pursue happiness rather than that we accept happiness and we enjoy happiness. You see the problem. And then, look at the result over 300 years. What's come about? It's 250 years ago. In fact, I think it's this year. Yeah, I think this year is actually the 250th anniversary. Yeah, it would be. It was 1776. So it's the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence this year. And you think of what's come over the last 250 years in that country that was founded, America. Has it brought happiness to its people? Has it brought happiness to the world? I would argue no. Certainly more material abundance. If anything symbolizes material riches and abundance that America does, but has it made its people happier? And the stats indicate otherwise. They've got the highest rates of obesity in the world. I think it's 30% of the adult population are obese. I mean, these are incredibly high numbers. Loads of sickness, disease. They don't lead the world in health and wellness statistics for sure, which is an indication that this is a sick society. Lots of, I mean, I don't know if they're still having them, so I don't really watch the news. But remember they went through a stage where they'd have these mass murders frequently. Just like kids would go into school and just kill a bunch of students and teachers with semi-automatic weapons. I mean, just totally bonkers stuff. And that, it happens frequently. It's like, okay, clearly there's serious problems in this society, which aren't really being addressed. Because I think it goes so deep. You see, it goes to the foundational premise of the entire society, which is that we are going to seek happiness in the external, in the material world, rather than find it within us because it's already there. All right. I hope that's interesting and illustrative of how this plays out in worldly terms and in human history. All right, so let's move on then, shall we, to paragraph 4, our longer practice period today.
So am I, yeah.
Yeah, I think you're reading that, and then
Yeah.
Kim's going to read the alternative.
Our longest practice period today has its purpose your acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function of God gave you and your happiness, but they are actually identical.
My longer practice period today has as its purpose my acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function of pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me and my happiness, but that they are actually identical.
God gave you only happiness.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness.
Therefore, the function he gave you must be happiness, even if it appears different.
Therefore, the function it gives me must be happiness, even if it appears to be different.
Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth.
Today's exercises are an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. From the top, my longer practice period today has as its purpose my acceptance of the fact that not only is there a very real connection between the function of pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me and my happiness, but that they are actually identical. Pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness. Therefore, the function it gives me must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. Today's exercise is an attempt to go beyond these differences in appearance and recognize a common content where it exists in truth. So it's saying that, so in the practice, it takes us to a place where, as its purpose, we practice or experience that or recognize that our function, which is letting go, and our happiness are actually identical. God or pure formless awareness gives us only happiness. Hence, the function must also be happiness. So, in the level of form, it might appear different, but they're actually one and the same thing in content.
Yeah. The one automatically leads to the other. If you fulfill your function, then you will be happy.
Mm.
So then the key to happiness lies in fulfilling your function, which is to forgive or to let go, consistently, without exception. It's so simple, but it's so radically different to what we're used to, which is why it's challenging. Imagine if we were brought up this way. We were taught this from a young age. How different would our lives be? How different would society be? You look at how we bring children up, we teach them that their function is everything other than to be happy. Don't we?
Mm.
Your function is to, well, you've got to do well at school and at your sporting activities or whatever else you're doing, and then you need to get good grades, and you need to then get into some career, go to university, get a qualification, get a job, and take your place as a member of society, and this is your function. And this is what they taught by default. We don't say happiness isn't your function. We give them all kinds of replacements for it. So as you get older, then okay, it's not appropriate just to play and have fun anymore. Just be happy in the moment. You've now got all these things you've got to do, all these functions you've got to fulfill. And then slowly what starts happening is we close all of that down. And the happiness and that natural joy that children have starts getting shut down. The mind takes over. By the time they're adults, they've been conditioned to be unhappy. It's crazy. When you think of, our education process educates children to be unhappy adults. Like, clearly there's something wrong there, right? The majority of the population aren't happy, then there's a fundamental problem with the education system that is supposed to educate them into becoming happy, healthy, functional adults. Clearly a problem, which obviously the course is recognizing and asking us to recognize, and then saying, okay, so how do you address it? Well, you address it by changing your mind, just realizing the simple truth that he's trying to teach us in this lesson. So let's review these, the logic of this sequence. Happy to go on. God gives me only happiness.
Yeah, is it my turn?
I think so, Len.
God gives me only happiness.
He has given my function to me.
All right. So then just read the alternative.
Oh, sorry. Okay. I will begin the 10 to 15-minute practice period by reviewing these thoughts. Pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness.
He has given me function to me. He has given my function to me.
It has given me my function.
Therefore, my function must be happiness.
Therefore, my function must be happiness.
Try to see the logic in the sequence, even if you do not accept the conclusion.
I will try to understand the logic in the sequence, even if I do not yet accept the conclusion.
It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false.
It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false.
Let us then think about the premises for a while as we are practicing.
Therefore, let me think about these premises for a while as I am practicing. Okay, so from the top.
You read all that from the top. You don't have to read the bit about the 10 to 15-minute practice period, just from number 2.
Pure formless awareness, perfect love gives me only happiness. It has given me my function. Therefore, my function must be happiness. I will try to understand the logic in this sequence, even if I do not yet accept the conclusion. It is only if the first two thoughts are wrong that the conclusion could be false. Therefore, let me think about these premises for a while as I am practicing.
Okay, thoughts on that? Makes sense? Does that logic make sense?
Yeah, because it's both coming from God.
If it gives me only happiness and it's given me my function, then my function must be happiness. It's a logical inference from the first two statements. This is just logic. So the question then is, are these first two statements valid? So he goes into it now. Let's have a look at the premises. You know how logic works. You've got a premise and then a conclusion. So saying, okay, so let's analyze the premises on which the conclusion is based to see if the premises are valid, because that's the only way you're going to determine whether the conclusion is valid. All right, so number 6, the first premise. If you switch it again, so can you read the original, Elaine the alternative?
The first premise is that God gives you only happiness.
The first premise is the pure formless awareness, perfect love gives me only happiness.
This could be false, of course, but in order for it to be false, it is necessary to define God as something he is not.
Yeah, this could be false, of course, but to be false, it is necessary to define pure formless awareness of perfect love as something it is not.
Love cannot give evil, and what is not happiness is evil.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love cannot extend negative awareness, and what it is not happiness is negative awareness. Oh, yeah, what is not happiness is negative awareness, yeah.
Yeah, so that's how I've defined evil. Negative awareness. It's what negates true awareness is evil. Evil, by the way, is just love spelled backwards. So there's no accident in that. It's to live your life backwards, i.e., to negate the very life essence that you have and that you are is then the essence of evil, and that's what we call negative. Denies the essence of life that you are, which is the opposite of life, of abundance, of anything we would call positive. Okay, number 4, I think we're on.
God cannot give what he does not have, and he cannot have what he is not.
Pure formless awareness of perfect love cannot give what it does not have, and it cannot have what it is not.
Number 5.
Unless God gives you only happiness, he must be evil.
Unless pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness, it must be negative.
And it is the definition of him you are believing if you do not accept the first premise.
And if I do not accept the first premise, it is this definition of perfect love that I am believing. So from the top, the first premise is the pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness. This could be false, of course, but to be false, it is necessary to find pure formless awareness of perfect love as something it is not. Pure formless awareness of perfect love cannot extend negative awareness, and what is not happiness is negative awareness. Pure formless awareness of perfect love cannot give what it does not have, and it cannot have what it is not. Unless pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness, it must be negative. If I do not accept the first premise, it is the definition of perfect love that I am believing. So it's just saying that pure formless awareness, if we're not in happiness, then anything else is negative. And it's just saying that, so therefore, it can't give what it hasn't. It hasn't got any, it doesn't know of any of this negative awareness. And if we don't accept this first premise, it is the definition of perfect love that I am believing. So yes, it's just all opposite to what we really are. We're just pure happiness, really.
Yeah, which is all a bit crazy, but that's the ego for you.
Yeah.
So it can't give us, if we define God as love, then God cannot be the opposite of love. God cannot be what negates love. So this is the non-dual understanding. Whatever is not love, then just simply doesn't exist. The question our logical minds ask is, well, if God is only love, and there's only God, then how come there's evil in the world? But we've been through that question before. There's no logical answer to that. Because that question assumes that evil is real, right? There's the problem.
But
There's an
it's
assumption that,
just
okay, there's evil in the world, and so then how can there be just love? But you've already answered the question in your assumption. Oh, but there's evil in the world. Well, how do you know? You see its results, you've witnessed it, you've experienced it. Okay, so you think that's all real, but maybe that's just a dream. Maybe you're just caught up in a nightmare. It's not really real. So it comes down to really looking at this key split in the mind. A tiny mad idea decided that we didn't want God. We wanted to be our own identity and go our own separate way and create an alternate self-identity and alternate reality to live in. And all of that is what's created this experience we now call human life. But none of that is true. God had nothing to do with it. It was a tiny mad idea that occurred to the mind, which it wanted and then made real by believing it and projecting it out. But none of it's true. It's still as false as it was the moment it was thought. And now you're just living in the product of a false world, trying to find this happiness that you denied at inception. You see the problem? Well, how can you find happiness in a thought system when the entire thought system is based on the denial of what's going to make you happy? There's the problem, right? So how can you ever find it then in a thought system like that? And the answer is you won't. You can't and you won't. Sorry, it's taking a long time to load. I just wanted to bring the center to hell diagram up. Give it a few more moments. Hopefully we'll be there. Okay, here we go. So there you go. That idea of separation denies the truth, your true awareness. That's the only thing that's going to make you happy, God, perfect love. So now how can you expect to find happiness from a thought system that denies what makes you happy in order to exist? You see the fundamental problem of the ego system right there. And yes, we're saying, look, the only way out of this insane system is to let go of the idea at the foundation of it. the idea of separation, and that you are a separate self. Let go of that, and then you will naturally be happy. All right. Any questions on that? Let's go back to lesson 66. Okay, so we're happy with the logic. You can't mix these. It's saying there's no mixing of pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is true, which is the source of all love and light and peace and joy and happiness, and the idea that separates from that, the idea that denies that. They are opposites, and they always will be opposite, and you accept one or the other. You can't accept both because they contradict each other. So the idea that I can have a little bit of ego because I need that in the world, but I can still be spiritual is nonsense. It's rubbish. You can't, because then your mind is still split. And then you're just vacillating between two opposite thought systems. Take you in completely different directions. Then there's no clarity. There's only confusion. It's like being at a crossroads and you've got two guides or two GPSs. Let's say, and you don't know which way to go, and you consult them both, and the one tells you to go one way, the other one tells you to go in the opposite direction. Which do you listen to? You can't do both. You've got to choose. So that's effectively what's happening here. Course in Miracles and the Holy Spirit is your true GPS system, the one that's going to take you in the direction you really want to go, and then you've got another one which is coming out of the ego, the false self, that's taking you in the opposite direction. You need to determine the difference between them, discern the difference between them. All right. So let's carry on then, shall we, to number 7, the second premise. Is that God has given you your function. Whose turn is it to read? Original?
I think it's, no, I do the original, don't I? The second premise is that God has given you your function, I think. Sorry.
It's okay. We'll just carry on now.
The second premise is that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me my function.
We are seeing that there are only two parts of your mind.
I have seen that there are only two parts of my mind. One is ruled by the ego and is made of illusions. One is ruled by the belief in separation, and my separate self is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit, where truth abides. The other is the home of remembrance of perfect love, where truth lives. There are no other guides but these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of your choice, but the fear that the ego always engenders and the love that the Holy Spirit always offers to replace it. There are no other guides except these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of my choice, but the fear that the belief in separation always engenders and the love that the remembrance of perfect love always offers to replace it. And from the top, the second premise is that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me my function. I've seen that there are only two parts of my mind. One is ruled by the belief in separation, and my separate self is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the remembrance of perfect love, where truth lives. There are no other guides except these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of my choice, but the fear that the belief in separation always engenders, and the love that the remembrance of perfect love always offers to replace it.
Okay. Thoughts on that?
So it's saying that the second premise is that God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, has given me up my function. And we're acknowledging that we have this split mind. The one is ruled by the ego, illusions, and the other one is where truth lives, with the remembrance of perfect love or Holy Spirit. There's only two choices, either the ego or the Holy Spirit. We choose where truth lives. And it's just talking about the belief in separation engenders fear, and the remembrance of perfect love offers to replace that with love. So that it's basically a choice, but it's highlighting that our only function is forgiveness, and we choose that, we choose love.
Yeah. One of two guides, one of two thought systems. They don't reconcile at all. They're opposite. And this is the fundamental split in the world between darkness and light. Between the Holy Spirit and the ego. All right, happy to go on to number 8.
Thus, it must be that your function is established by God through his voice, or is made by the ego which you have made to replace him.
Therefore, it must be that my function is established by pure formless awareness of perfect love through its voice, or is made by my separate self, which I have made to replace it.
Which is true.
Which is true.
Unless God gave you your function to you, it must be the gift of the ego.
Unless pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me my function to me, it must be the gift of my separate self.
Does the ego really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts?
Does this belief really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts?
Okay, and then from the top, Elaine.
Yeah. Therefore, it must be that my function is established by pure formless awareness of perfect love through its voice, or is made by my separate self, which I have made to replace it, which is true. Unless pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me function to me, my function to me, it must be the gift of my separate self. Does this belief really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts? So it's just saying about, our function is to be established from the pure formless awareness of perfect love and its voice, or the separate self, which one is true. So it's a bit of a confusion. So does this belief really have gifts to give, as in the separate self, being itself an illusion and offering illusions of gifts? which are what we call false idols, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, the ego's got all kinds of tricks up its sleeve, all kinds of parent gifts to give you. And that the false idols of the world, the magic, anything that's promising happiness but's not going to deliver happiness. So when you get the new job, when you get your special relationship, your soulmate, when you have children, when you make enough money, when you retire, when you, these are the gifts it offers. But all of them are illusory, impermanent forms of magic that cannot substitute for the truth of who you are. They are, in fact, just substitutes for who and what you really are. And we just have to see it for what it is. Once you see through the disguise, then why would you value those things anymore? Once you see what they are, there's naturally a letting go, isn't there? The understanding brings the letting go. So, well, yeah, this is illusory, it's false, it's not serving me, it's not helping me. In fact, it's entrapping me, it's enslaving me in a prison in this world. The only way out is to let go of these things. Then you should have every incentive, every motivation to let it go. So then he's asking us in number 9 to just think about this during the longer practice period. So let's read that, and then we'll finish this and then do the meditation. Not in the lesson. Okay, so you can read number 9 then in the original and alternative, kindly.
Think about this during the longer practice period today.
I will think about this during the longer practice period today.
Think also about the many forms the illusion of your function has taken in your mind, and in the many ways in which you try to find salvation under the ego's guidance.
I'll also think about the many forms the illusion of my function has taken in my mind, and the many ways in which I tried to find freedom under my belief in separation's guidance.
Did you find it?
Did I find it?
Were you happy?
Was I happy?
Did they bring you peace?
Did they bring me peace?
We need great honesty today.
Need to be truly honest today.
Remember the outcomes fairly and consider also whether it was ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed.
I should remember the outcomes fairly and consider whether it was ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything my belief in separation ever proposed.
Yet the ego is the only alternative to the Holy Spirit's voice.
Yet my belief in separation and separate self is the only alternative to the remembrance of perfect love's voice. From the top. I will think about this during the longer practice period today. I will also think about the many forms the illusion of my function has taken in my mind, and many ways in which I tried to find freedom under my belief in separation's guidance. Did I find it? Was I happy? Did they bring me peace? I need to be truly honest today. I should remember the outcomes fairly and consider whether it was ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything my belief in separation ever proposed. Yet my belief in separation and separate self is the only alternative to the remembrance of perfect love's voice. So remember in the practice period today about in belief in separation's many illusions that has taken up my mind. And through that, I try to find my freedom and happiness. Was I ever truly free and happy? And I should
I think
consider this
we have to realize really that the ego's never made us happy. That's a key realization, isn't it? Because as long as you think that this is going to work in another way, you're going to keep trying it. But you have to come to this realization fairly soon in your journey with the Course that the ego is never going to work. It's never going to make you happy. And once you've accepted that, that's a major breakthrough. Because then, conceptually anyway, you've renounced its thought system. You said, it's never going to work. It's dysfunctional. It's a broken system. I need to just let go of the whole system. But as long as you hold out some hope that the ego is going to work, you're going to keep trying to use that broken system to find happiness. And you'll keep failing, but then the ego says, but try this. I've got another strategy for you. But it's all happening within the construct of the separate self. So I've got another strategy for you as a seeming victim of this world that I've projected out. And I'm going to tell you, over there lies happiness. Maybe it's in that special relationship. Maybe it's in making more money, a new career, a substance, an activity, whatever. And we go seeking these things. But actually, it's not going to work because it's all coming from the one tiny mad idea of separation from the source that makes you happy. So how are you ever going to find happiness now that you've separated from what makes you happy? And the honest answer is you're never going to find it. The ego, which is dishonest, is saying, here's happiness, and I'll give you happiness here, and I'll make up all these illusions to make you happy, but none of them is going to work. The only thing that's going to work is going back to your original awareness or God, in which you're perfectly happy, and nothing else is required. That's the only way. That's the only thing that's going to work, which is why forgiveness is the only way to happiness, which is why it needs to be your only function in the world. As soon as you forgive, then you access this awareness, and this awareness makes you happy by default because it's who you really are. So really, really simple. This isn't rocket science. Very, very simple. These ideas are simple. The concepts are simple, but it's about learning to apply them rigorously and accept. You know, the struggle we have is to accept the finality of what he's saying. Understand, this is the end of the ego if you accept what he's saying in this lesson. Was it ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything my separate self ever proposed? If it is the opposite of what makes me happy, if it is the denial of the source that makes me happy, then how can I expect to find happiness from what denies the source of happiness? You see the problem. If we were perfectly honest about it and perfectly logical, then the ego is a goner. The ego is done for. There's no way we're going to believe in it anymore. So that's what he's trying to do here. He's trying to say, okay, so let's just apply these tools of logical thinking, which we all pride ourselves on. Oh, got to be logical and rational. Okay, so well, let's really be logical about this thing and go through the logic of this in a very patient, systematic way. So eventually you come to the conclusion that essentially the ego is pointless and useless, and you've got to let it go because it doesn't work. But you've come to your own conclusion with this. It's not someone who's forced it down and said, well, just believe me, have faith. It's like, no, I've worked this out myself. The logic makes sense. I accept this myself because I can accept nothing else once I've seen the irrefutable logic of the argument. And now you have true faith. not some manufactured faith. Oh, you should just believe in God because if you don't, you're going to go to hell. You have faith because it makes sense to you, and you've accepted it internally on a different level. Okay. Happy with that? Let's go to number 10 then. And one more slide, and then we do the meditation. Okay, so you will listen to madness or hear the truth. Whose turn is it to read?
Listen to madness or hear the truth.
I will listen to madness or hear the truth.
Try to make this choice as you think about the premises on which our conclusion rests.
I should try to make this choice as I think about the premises on which our conclusion rests.
We can share in this conclusion, but in no other.
I can share in this conclusion, but not in no other.
Yeah, but in no other.
But in no other.
For God himself shares it with us.
For pure formless awareness of perfect love itself shares it with me.
Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, and the different as different.
Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, and the different as different.
On one side stand all illusions.
On one side stand all illusions.
All truth stand on the other.
All truth stand on the other.
Stands.
Let us try today to realize that only the truth is true.
I will try to realize that only the truth is true today. On the top, I will listen to madness or hear the truth. I should try to make the choice as I think about the premises on which our conclusion rests. I can share in this conclusion, but in no other. For pure formless awareness of perfect love itself shares it with me. Today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, and the different as different. On one side stands illusions, all truth stands on the other. I will try to realize that only the truth is true today. So it's just talking about the two different opposites, complete opposites. If you want to, do you want to listen to the madness, or do you want to listen to the truth? It's a huge step to move from illusions to the truth. That's where our happiness is.
We have to be really honest with ourselves. I think that's why it's the second characteristic of God's teachers. In the manual for teachers, when he lists these characteristics of God's teachers, first one is trust. Second one is honesty. You have to be really, really honest with yourself and just say, yeah, okay, I've got to see it for what it is. I can't harbor any illusions. I've just got to accept the pretty brutal, ruthless logic of this. And then accept the logical conclusion. For me, then that means that forgiveness is the only way. Letting go is the only way out of this bind, of this hell that I've got myself into. It's the only way I'm ever going to find happiness and peace of mind, and the only way I'm ever going to find any kind of fulfillment in the world. And once we've accepted the irrefutable logic of this, then we must practice it, and we become disciples of Yeshua, not by force, not by blind faith, but through a conscious, logical process of assessing the options, looking at them logically, and coming to the correct conclusion ourselves. Now, someone who's done that, far more likely to follow a teacher and teaching than someone who's just doing it on blind faith, or just believe. But I don't really understand why I should believe. No, it doesn't matter, just believe, because that's what we all do. Or if you don't, then God's going to punish you, whatever the motivation is. They don't understand. It's a very shallow faith. It's only when we really understand do we have depth. Okay. So we'll listen to madness or hear the truth. Lovely, lovely phrase. All right, one more slide and then we'll do the med. So Kim, if you can read that. Kim? Function is the action which a person will think especially fitted.
Function is the action for which a person or thing is specially fitted. God's son, a child, a parent, partner, employer. Sorry, a function on earth is God's son, a child, a parent, a partner, an employer. To forgive and to heal, to extend love, and thereby induce healing others, to accomplish something inside others. We, as God's son, are especially suited to carry out these actions. Our function is literally our happiness. Not doing our function is the cause of our unhappiness.
So if you don't fulfill this function, you don't extend it. I think this is an interesting slide and idea that if you don't extend the love by forgiving and healing, then you're not really living it. You're not fulfilling your function. This love is abundance by nature. This love is healing and blessing, and it's meant to flow through you in unlimited, abundant ways. That's its nature. So if you block that flow, then you block your own happiness. We find happiness when we're connected to our source and it is flowing in and through us. So that means internally, there's no blockages. It's flowing out of us in our thoughts, our words, and our actions, extending to other people and to the world. And this is our true function. And the only way we can really stay happy is if we play our part and we fulfill our function. Because if we block it and we interrupt the flow by saying, okay, well, I'm not going to give to that person, then we don't feel happy. We disconnect ourselves from our source, at least temporarily, until we let go of that block and then we reconnect. Okay. And then just one more statement. He's asking us to remind ourselves, again, frequently through the day. So this is good to do. You only have to spend just a few seconds. Maybe you want to take a minute or two and just remind yourself of this and pause, breathe, and reflect on it, which is why I've given you the breath break recordings and written instructions to do that if you want to. So what he's really saying, if you can read the key idea, my happens my functional one, and then in the alternative as well, each one of you. Okay, so Kim, you read the original. My happiness functional one.
Happiness and functional one, because God has given me both.
In the shorter practice periods, which I should practice twice.
Don't worry about that, Lynch. Just read the key idea.
Oh, yeah. My happiness and function are one because pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me both.
It's a very simple, logical statement, which is the conclusion of the lesson. They must be the same. I'm actually going to change that to the same, I think, because it's more powerful than one. My happiness and function are the same because pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me both. See the logic of that. They must be the same because it comes from the same source. So the same source can't create different results. The same source can't create happiness and unhappiness. It might seem to temporarily have an illusion of it. You seem to be unhappy because something's been taken away. And you go, well, why is God doing this to me? Because, I like that illusion. But actually, that illusion was keeping you trapped and in prison. So it needed to be looked at and let go of. Which is exactly what you're then forced to do. And the more you do that, then the happier you feel. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I think that prepares us quite a nice. Oh, there's actually a summary as well. So let's just read this quickly to summarize the whole thing. We don't have to discuss it. Just read original. Just read one paragraph at a time. So Kim, you start with the main paragraph, first paragraph, and then Elaine the second one, and so on.
I have noticed a clear emphasis on the connection between fulfilling my function and achieving happiness. These two concepts are not only connected, but they are also the same. My belief in separation continually battles with the remembrance of perfect love regarding my function and what brings me happiness. Yet this battle is one-sided because my belief in separation attacks, while the remembrance of perfect love doesn't respond because it already knows my function is happiness.
Today, my aim is to move beyond the futile conflict and find the truth about my function. This means avoiding pointless arguments over what happiness is or listening to my separate self's attacks on truth. Instead, I will focus on discovering what truth really is.
During today's longer practice period, I will accept that the function given to me by pure formless awareness of perfect love and my happiness are actually the same. Pure formless awareness of perfect love gives only happiness, so my function must be happiness, even if it appears to be different. This practice will help me recognize the common content beyond these surface appearances. I will start my practice by reflecting on these thoughts. Pure formless awareness of Pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness. It has given me my function, so my function must be happiness.
I will try to see the logic in this sequence, knowing the conclusion can only be false if the initial premises on which it is based are false. The first premise is the pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness. This premise cannot be false unless I redefine pure formless awareness of perfect love as a negative awareness.
Okay, Kim.
The second premise is that pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me my function. Given that there are only two parts of my mind, the part ruled by my belief in separation made up of illusions, and the part that is home to the remembrance of perfect love, where truth resides, it is clear to me where I should put my focus and attention.
Yeah, a logical conclusion, and then you see how that then directs focus and attention. Okay, so the only way I can ever be happy is to let go, which is my function, then I need to focus on that. That needs to become the most important thing in my life. I really need to focus, learn that, practice it. This is the only way I'll ever be happy. If you accept the logic of it, it's absolutely life-changing because you're going to then commit fully to forgiveness, saying, I need to learn this. Above all else, I need to learn this because it's the only way I'm ever going to be happy. All right, then just a key message, just to wrap it up, Elaine.
Yeah. My function and my happiness are the same because pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness, and it has given me my function. My separate self constantly attacks, but the remembrance of perfect love knows my true function. By constantly keeping this truth in my mind today, I will understand my true purpose better and be consistently happy. Yeah.
Really simple, really clear, very logical, nothing complex. You know, this is just a very simple, logical lesson, isn't it? But if you accept the logic and accept the conclusion, it is absolutely life-changing. Now, finally, you accept the only way that you can ever be happy, which means that you can actually start being happy if you apply the way to do that. So you see, his methodology is to teach us the logic, get us to accept that logic, and then by definition accept what he's saying as the remedy for the problem. It's not asking for blind faith. There's no attempt to coerce us, threaten us. It's just, here's the logic. I'm going to be very logical with you. See it for yourself, understand it, and then the logical conclusion of this logic is that you must fulfill your function. All right. So any comments, thoughts, questions on the lesson? A good one. Shall we finish it off with a meditation?
Yeah,
Yeah.
just need a couple minutes nature break, you know.
Okay.
Mm.
Shall we have a
Alright.
2-minute break? Come back, do the med?
Yeah. Okay, thanks.
Okay. Alrighty, are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay, it's Kim there. Kim, are you there?
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So let's dive in then to our meditation on lesson 66. So just making yourself comfortable, sitting with your feet shoulder width apart, your back straight. Cup your hands in your lap. Close your eyes and start off by taking a nice deep breath in. Through the nose, so you're breathing in. Notice how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Clench the sphincter muscles, the muscle used to contract, flow of urine, squeeze the last drops out. Maybe you feel that little warm tingling feeling going up your spine, into your heart center. You can put one hand on your heart. Breathe into that heart space. Just going within, going into your mind, letting the breath take you into yourself. Intuition is into, going within. Another sip of air at the top of the inhale. Feel this presence, this life energy in the crown of your head. Just pause at the top of the inhale. And so review these thoughts as you hold the breath briefly. I'll say them in the alternative as well as the original. So God gives me only happiness, or pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness. He or it has given me my function, therefore my function must be happiness. And notice the logic in this sequence. Try to understand it. Exhale on the truth of it. Exhaling, just blowing. Blowing out any resistance to these ideas. Blowing out any resistance to being happy. Many of us don't believe we deserve to be happy. We deserve to suffer. We deserve to be in pain. We deserve to die. We deserve to be punished. This is the guilt of the ego. Believing in what is false. The premises are true. Pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness. And it has given me my function. Both of those things are true. Then your function must be happiness. So let's just contemplate these premises in this meditation. So just keep breathing in and out, nice deep, slow, rhythmical breaths in through your nose and out through your nose. Just observe the subtle sensations of the breath flowing into your nostrils, and then out of the nostrils. Just watch the breath. So the subtle sensations of the breath flowing into the nostrils and out of the nostrils. Touch of the breath in the area just below your nose, between your nose and your upper lip. Just noticing. The breath, letting the breath take you a little bit deeper with each breath into this lovely, peaceful, calm, relaxed state of mind. And in this calm, relaxed state, you can objectively, as objectively as possible, hopefully, just assess the validity of these premises. On which this conclusion that your function must be happiness is based. So as you keep watching the breath, just listen to these words, follow the logic. Allow the words to permeate in to your mind on a deeper level. Your defenses are dropped. Your mind is open and receptive to these ideas. This is how we learn, how we undo the old conditioning or programming, and we learn new ways of thinking, new ideas, new techniques. In an altered state like this, when our mind is quiet and calm and receptive, and it's fertile ground for the soil of the seeds of truth to be planted. So let's consider these truths on which the conclusion of today is based. The first premise is that God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, in alternative language, gives you only happiness. So this could be false. You have to consider that possibility. But in order to be false, it is necessary to define God or pure formless awareness of perfect love as something it is not. You have to misdefine it. You have to create a false God, in other words, which is what has happened throughout human history. It's exactly what the ego has done. So love, pure formless awareness of perfect love in our expanded language, alternative language, cannot give evil, cannot extend negative awareness in alternative language. Evil is love spelled backwards. It is anything that negates our true awareness, that negates life itself, hence love spelled backwards. So this awareness, pure awareness of perfect love, cannot extend negative awareness because it is, by definition, pure, formless awareness of perfect love, and there's nothing else. It's not pure formless awareness of perfect love sometimes, and then it changes its mind. It's always that awareness. That's what eternal means. It is permanent, it is eternal, it is unchangeable. So it cannot extend negative awareness by definition of what it is. In the very name of it, pure, formless awareness of perfect love, which describes what it is the truth of it. It cannot then have any negative awareness that denies that. Otherwise, it wouldn't be pure, formless awareness. It wouldn't be pure. It would be corrupted. It would have a split mind. That is the condition of our mind, but not of this mind of God, or this awareness, as we call it. And then we've got to consider that what is not happiness is just negative awareness. So if we're not happy, we're in some form of negative awareness. We are negating our true awareness, which is why we're not experiencing the inner feeling of happiness. We must also acknowledge that happiness is an inside job. It's not about anything happening on the outside. It's about how we perceive whatever's happening. And that is an internal matter. How are we thinking? How are we feeling about something? And that comes from a thought system. So yes, we might have external circumstances that may trigger us to be unhappy, but we still have a choice. If we perceive them correctly, then they don't necessarily need to create unhappiness or happiness. We could just be neutral about it. You notice some things really trigger you, and other things, well, you just let it go and see other people reacting heavily to things that are not a big deal to you, or vice versa. You're really triggered and someone else is not bothered. So what's the difference? It's their own state of mind, their own internal programming that determines how they interpret whatever situation they're experiencing. It then determines their happiness or unhappiness. Do they negate their true awareness by focusing on the illusion and allowing all kinds of false thoughts and emotions to arise because of it, which then the ego loves and just wants to perpetuate because it perpetuates the idea that it's a separate self? Or can you just let go of all that and return your mind to its true awareness, in which you're naturally peaceful and happy? So, to return to the logic of this premise, pure formless awareness of perfect love, or God, cannot give what it does not have. Okay, so it cannot give or extend what it doesn't already have, right? The idea is of it's a source, and it from that source, it then extends from the source. The sun, for instance, being the source of all light and energy in our solar system, must have it already internally, and then it radiates it out, and it gives this energy to the rest of the solar system as sunlight, light, energy, heat, etc. But there has to be a source, which is then obviously the most potent form of it, from which it all radiates outwards. So, similar way, God, or pure form awareness of perfect love, cannot extend what it does not have, and it cannot have what it is not. So it can't have anything that is contradictory to it. It is what it is. God is. The name of Bible of God given to Moses in the Bible, when he asked this presence in the burning bush, well, what are you? You've sent me on this mission to go save my people in Egypt. So who shall I say has sent me? Because of course Moses was familiar with all the Egyptian gods, and there were over 2,000 of them. It's like, okay, so who are you then? And this presence says to him, I am that I am, or I am what I am, depending on how you translate the Hebrew. Eya Asha Eya is the original language. Eya Asha Eya. I am that I am. I simply am. Right? It's not conditional on anything else. It's not I am this, I am that, subject, object. I am that because of this. It just is. I am that I am. Which points us to the direct truth of this I am awareness, which we call pure formless awareness of perfect love. the most fundamental, foundational awareness that cannot be undone. So unless this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, gives me only happiness, it must be negative. So anything that is not happiness denies this awareness and negates it. It must be evil or negative. And if I do not accept the first premise, that God gives me only happiness, pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness, it is this definition of perfect love that I'm believing. That actually pure formless awareness of perfect love is in fact negative awareness. Well, how can that be true if it is what it is? If it is pure formless awareness, by definition, of perfect love, perfect loving awareness, how can it be anything else? The negative awareness that seems to deny it must then be false. This is the logic. See the logic of that. It cannot, both of them cannot be true. You can't have something that negates that awareness and something that is that awareness, and both coexist. The one must be true, the one must be false. If you don't accept the first premise, that pure formless awareness of perfect love gives me only happiness, then you must be believing in a false version of God. Unfortunately, that has happened all too often throughout human history. We believe God can punish, God can judge, God can attack and kill. Well, this must be a false God, then. This cannot be the true God, which gives only happiness. Just because it's written down in the Bible doesn't mean that it's true. It was true to the people who wrote it. They believed that. But how do you know what their state of mind was? Maybe they were very fearful, convinced that God was out to get them. The church says it was all divinely inspired. But how can unhappiness and misery and pain and suffering and sickness and death, apparently caused by this insane God, how can that be divinely inspired if God is only love? There's a fundamental contradiction there. God is love, but then God does all this horrible stuff. So one of those statements must be true and the other must be false. God is only love, and nothing else really exists. So whatever else contradicts that must be false. Therefore, there is a false entity, the ego, consciousness. Gnostics call it the demiurge, the false God that seems to do all this stuff that we think is doing all of this, seems to have manifest effects in the world because the mind believed, beliefs have power. So these things play out in this illusory world, but these things are not real. So the second premise, let's move on to that. So you consider, just keep watching your breath, breathing in and out through your nose. Keep that breath flowing, keep awareness on the breath while I'm reading and talking, just to connect you with a deeper presence, this presence of God or pure formless awareness. It's going to guide you to truly understand these words. And the second premise is that God or pure formless awareness of perfect love has given me my function. But surely you've seen that there are only two parts of your mind. One is ruled by the belief in separation, and my separate self, which is its ally. and is made up of illusions. The other is the home of the Holy Spirit with remembrance of perfect love, where truth lives. There are no other guides except these to choose between, and no other outcomes possible as a result of my choice. But the fear that the belief in separation always engenders, and the love that the remembrance of perfect love always offers to replace it. Two different thought systems, two different outcomes, mutually exclusive. They cannot both be accepted as true because they contradict each other fundamentally. I can't say I believe in love and then I believe in not love. I am one, but I am separate. It's one or the other. If I am one, perfect oneness, which we call pure formless awareness and perfect love, then I cannot be separate. And if I am separate, really a separate self, then there can be no pure formless awareness. Perfect oneness must then be illusory, because apparently separation is true and real. And so it's one or the other. We must choose which belief system we're going to believe, which altar we worship at, in other words. Who is going to be our God? Which idea, oneness or separation, is going to guide us in all of our thoughts, words, and actions? So it must be then that your function is established by God or pure formless awareness of perfect love through its voice, or is made up by your ego or separate self, which you have made to replace it. One comes from the ultimate, infinite, eternal source, which is your source, the source of your mind, your true awareness, which is infinite, eternal, totally permanent, and never change. The other is temporary, made up to cover over this truth, an illusion to replace the truth of who you are. You must now decide which is true. Unless God or pure formless awareness of perfect love gives your function to you, it must be the gift of your separate self, because there's only two guides, one or the other. Remember, does this belief really have gifts to give, being itself an illusion and offering only the illusion of gifts? So you have this belief, offers you happiness in some form, says go chase that form or that form. Maybe it's money, possessions, special relationship, different job, different career, different location to live in, an activity, a substance, whatever it is, you go chasing after it, thinking that this is a gift, but in fact it's a deception, being led down the garden path. Like a wild animal being trapped with bait. It's leading you down into a trap. The further you go down, the more difficult it is to escape. Eventually, if you keep listening to it, you can feel completely trapped, enslaved, and very limited, very unhappy because of that. This is an unfortunate condition of many people, especially as they get older. Keep listening to the guidance of the ego. By the time you're 60 or 70, you're not going to be in a very happy state at all. 60 or 70 years of misery does not do well for the human mind or body. You've probably seen that in others, maybe experienced some of it yourself, but the beauty of it is you can change your mind. That's what this course is designed to help you do. Change your mind. Seek not to change the world, as one of the early quotes we talked about in this session says from the course, seek not to change the world, but seek to change your mind about the world. So remember the outcomes fairly and consider whether it was ever reasonable to expect happiness from anything the ego ever proposed. Did you find happiness? Did the outcomes it promised bring you peace? You need to be completely honest today and look at these outcomes fairly, because if you really look at them, then you will see that it was never reasonable to expect happiness from anything your separate self, the ego, ever proposed. How can something that negates the very source of happiness ever lead to happiness? It's a fundamental contradiction there. It's negated the source of happiness because God gives only happiness, and then it tells you it can bring you happiness in some form, but that's never going to happen because it's negated the very source of happiness. Created an illusion, says there's an illusion, go chase that, that's going to bring you happiness, but it's never going to work. So was it ever reasonable to expect it to work, to expect happiness from anything your separate self ever proposed? Yet, your belief in separation and your separate self, your ego, is the only alternative to remembrance of perfect love's voice. Fortunately, there are not infinite alternatives. There are only two. You have a split mind. You must choose between the two. So you will listen to madness or hear the truth, says Yeshua. So try to make this choice now. Breathe in on this fundamental truth and make the choice as you think about the premises on which the conclusion rests. Pure formless awareness of perfect love gives only happiness. Conclusion one. Well, if it's truly pure formless awareness of perfect love, then it can't give anything else. So that premise is true. And pure formless awareness of perfect love gives you your function. So there's apparently two voices, but one of them is false and the other is true. So which is more likely to be true? See the logic of this. Hopefully you can accept it deeply in your own heart, in your mind. Breathe in this pure formless awareness of perfect love, this happiness to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being is infused in happiness. Because it's available right now. It's never not been there. It's there with this pure formless awareness of perfect love. That is the truth of you. That has always been there, but has been obscured for so many, many years, so many lifetimes. Simply not aware of this absolutely pure, pristine awareness that lies in your mind, because all of your thoughts, beliefs, emotions, false idols, in other words, cover it over, negate it, deny it. Now it's time to take a stand for truth. It's another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same. Pure formless awareness of perfect love is your function, and that is to be happy. It's all one and the same, whichever way you look at it. When you look at it as where pure formless awareness, your source giving you happiness, or you want to find your true function in the world, they will ultimately bring you to the same realization, the same answer, which is God, or pure formless awareness, perfect love, which is in your mind right now. So recognize that today's idea is another giant stride in the perception of the same as the same, the different as different. You must see this, you must make this distinction in order to forgive. You cannot accept both illusions and truth into your mind. You must judge against illusions and for the truth. Now, that doesn't mean you condemn the illusions, you simply let them go as unworthy of your belief. So do that now. Realize that on the one side, in your right mind, in your wrong mind, stand all illusions, and all truth stands on the other, in your right mind. Try to realize that only the truth is true today. Breathe that truth into every pore and every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Rest in the truth that your only function is to be happy right now. So just allow yourself to do that. Just exhaling and blowing anything out that's a block to this awareness. Letting it go to nothingness that it really is. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And then just sink into this happiness that's there for you, comes from your source, that's your natural state. It is your only function. Your mind says, well, I should be doing something else. Right now, I've got things to do, responsibilities. Yet, actually, your only function is to be happy right now. What else is there to do? So just surrender into this function. Give yourself the time and the space to do that for a few minutes. There's nowhere else to go. There's nothing else to do. The next few minutes, just breathe in and out through your nose, observe the breath. Relax deeper and deeper into the natural happiness that underlies your breath, your body, and your mind. Just surrender into this happy state, this blissful silence for a couple of minutes of deep silence. Any thoughts come in, seemingly disturb this happiness, and just observe them. Realize that your happiness is your function. Only function is to be happy right now, then these thoughts cannot be real. They must be illusions, designed just to obscure your happiness, to block it, to prevent you from experiencing it. And you just breathe in this happiness into every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. Accept it. This is who you are. This is your natural state. This is your true function, which your source gives. Nothing else is true. Nothing else is real. And just exhale and blow it all out. All that negativity, everything that negates or denies your true awareness, just blow it out with the breeze of your breath into the nothingness it really is. It's going, gone. Lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just rest here. Rest here in the stillness, in the silence. For another minute or two. Nothing else to do, nowhere else to go. Just breathe, relax. And be happy for the next couple of minutes. So just gently coming back now from this hopefully very deep, connected, happy state. I'm going to bring your awareness gently back on the count of 3 into the world. Just come out of the meditation the same way as you entered it, using the breath. So 1, just breathing in through the nose, noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises. And a subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. And you pause at the top of the inhale again, take another sip of air in, scan your mind, and remind yourself of today's idea that my happiness and my function are one and the same, because God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, gives me both. Gives me both of these. Gives me both. Accept that truth. Feel it in your heart. Feel the happiness that inevitably leads to, if there's anything in your mind that seems to contradict this, notice it, breathe into it. Remind yourself that my happiness is my function, and by believing in this idea, really, that's all it is, a thought that makes you unhappy. You're not fulfilling your function. You're not living your life on purpose. You're not being happy. It means it's a wasted life, pointless life, a life dedicated to illusions, an evil life, a life lived backwards. That's all that evil is. It's the word live spelled backwards. So let it go. On the count of 2, just blow it all out. The dark cloud or black smoke, just leaving you. It's going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine. Expel the last remaining air out. And just let it go. To the nothingness that it really is. Pause the bottom of the exhale. Again, notice in this empty, still silence in the gap between breaths, notice happiness is there naturally. Connect with it, ground yourself into it, anchor it in. Breathe in again, notice the breath flowing into your nostrils, notice any smell in your nose, maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, smell in your nose, notice what you're hearing in the surrounding environment. Just noticing all these things in this very still, calm, surrendered state of mind. So anchor the state in this lovely, connected, calm, happy state. Set the intention to stay in this state for the rest of the evening and on into tomorrow and the rest of your week. So it is said, so it is done. Now you're going to open your eyes. So just look around. The room, noticing everything, hopefully in this very calm, peaceful, connected state. And so you can just observe without judgment. You don't have to name things, judge them, label them. It is there in your field of awareness, but without thoughts, they have no real meaning. They have no power over you. They're just objects to perceive in awareness, but underlying that awareness is this permanent happy state. It comes from your source, pure formless awareness, perfect love. Remind yourself one more time that my happiness and my function are one and the same because God, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, gives me both. So they must be the same. They must be the same. Accept that, anchor that state in. And carry on in this happy state, which is your true function. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and tonight's session. So thanks, Kim, Elaine.
Thank you. Thank you.
All good. Hope you enjoyed that.
Yes, it's very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Jono. Thanks,
Excellent.
Elaine.
All right.
Right.
So next week, just to let you know, I think Monday, Wednesday evening, I'm going to be doing sessions. So if you want to join then, it's been Monday evening at, I'll tell you now, we're going to start Monday at 5 UK time, 6
I'll be
p.m.
on the plane. I'll be flying.
Right. Okay. So then join on Wednesday, then.
Wednesday will be good.
I'm going to do Wednesday the 27th. I'll start it at 6 UK time.
Yeah.
Six next Wednesday. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
Kim, I join either one of those, whichever works better for you.
Yeah. Might be more likely Wednesday.
Yeah. Okay. No problem.
Right.
All right. Have a nice week in the meantime.
Yeah. Nice weekend, everybody.
Thanks.
Namaste. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Night. Safe travels, Elaine. Okay, so that is a wrap for today. Hope you enjoyed this session. If you did, then why not hit the subscribe button? Always appreciate that. And you'll be notified whenever we go live by YouTube, so you can join the live stream or watch the recording later. If you want to take it a bit further, head over to lifebuild.com. You can see that spelt in the background that I have. So type that in with the .com on it into your browser, or click the link below in the comments of this video, there's a link to that website where you can enter your number for Telegram, and I will add you to a Telegram group, to which I send a daily messages, a daily quote, related inspirational messages, often other quotes, bonus videos from spiritual teachers like Eckhart Tolle, and a mind training lesson from A Course in Miracles with a short breath break or meditation to help you practice it, plus sometimes other stuff like bonus videos. A lot of good stuff that I send out completely free. So if you would like that, just go and put your number into the prompt when you go to lifebuilder.com. You'll be prompted to do that, and voila, you will be added to the Telegram group, as long as you obviously have Telegram installed on your device. If you don't have that, then you would need to go to the Google Play Store if you use Android phone, or the App Store if you use an Apple device, and download and install it, which is free. It's a free messaging app that I think is better than WhatsApp, and it's a cleaner channel. Most people don't use it for the everyday messaging, so it's kind of dedicated to this. And you can go in there and you can get these messages, which will hopefully inspire you to live a better life, which is the objective. And you will also get invitations to join these live sessions finally. So if you'd like to join these sessions in Zoom, you're most welcome. For the first 3 weeks, it's completely free. Give it a try, see if it works for you, and then decide whether you'd like to join us as a member. So check it out, all at lifebuilder.com. Join the group and take the next step. So I hope to see you on the inside of the group or on one of these sessions soon. Thanks for watching or listening, and namaste, which means the truth in me acknowledges and honors that same simple, happy truth that is the happy self that we share in you. I'm wishing you much